If God is love, then why is the Catholic Church turning away from God? Hey guys, it's John here in my studio on a fabulous day. It is 77 degrees outside. There's a slight haze in the air. Feels just absolutely lovely. And I am here in the studio to talk about this concept of the Catholic Church turning away from love. You know, the Catholic Church is at a crossroads again. Every time there's a new pope who is supposed to be infallible, comes in, they change the rules and they kind of negate what the person said before them. And this is happening again right now. You know, they've gone back to what they call traditional values. Now, traditional values are fascinating things. That means values of tradition. And the traditions that they are claiming is that the church doctrines of Paul are being brought back into the forefront of Catholicism. You know, the idea that marriage is between a man and a woman is negating the fact that God is love and love in any form is never wrong. So LGBTQs have every right to love the way they want to love as well. You know, it's funny. I put out a video that kind of mentioned this recently, and I can't tell you how many Catholics called me gay and how many Catholics came out against the same-sex marriage. And I have been diligently monitoring the comments and deleting anyone who said anything that was anti-love. I also deleted anything that was Islamophobic or any other religionophobic. And I also deleted anything that tried to promote another religion on my channel. So understand that the backlash I've gotten for saying that God is love and love in any form is never wrong has been huge. And it's been hate-filled and filled with anger and vitriol against me because of the fact that I said God is love and love in any form is never wrong. The thing is, this concept of love in any form is never wrong is something that's missed by the church. The church says, marriage between a man and a woman, literally declares that loving another way and choosing to have a partner that's not of the opposite sex is wrong and a sin. And that is absolutely a ridiculous statement, because I have known more gay couples that have better relationships than most of the heterosexual couples I know. They come together, they have relationships. I also have known many who've had bad relationships. I think people are people. But what happens when the church, claiming to represent Jesus, starts excluding people by the way they love, or starts excluding people by their religion or idea? And it's not just for the Catholic Church. It's not just other people of other religions and ideas. It's even other people who don't believe the same within Christianity. I told a story a while back of my sister-in-laws all getting together for a weekend, and two of them were Catholic and one of them wasn't. And she said, I'll just get communion at your church. And they told her flat out she couldn't because she wasn't Catholic. This idea that of division and separation is not loving. Jeshua spoke to Roman soldiers who were pagans. He spoke to Samaritans who did not believe the same as they. He spoke to women who at that time period would never have been something a man would have done without the woman's man permission. I went to Africa, Djibouti, Africa, on one of my USO tours. And this woman walked by, this beautiful African woman walked by in all of the finery, and she looked beautiful. And my friend Todd wanted to take a picture. And he was, of course, being the loving man that Todd is. He said, may I take your picture? He's very polite about it. He didn't just snap a picture. And she was like, and eventually what happened was she turned to the first closest man she could find. And he negotiated and took the money. Right. So it was a very telling thing. She could not have a direct conversation with him about this because it was not proper. That's how it was in Jesus's times. But he taught radical love. He didn't care about, and I say radical because it was radical to not stay within the confines of the religion, of the Jewish faith. You know, love your neighbor as yourself. This is the golden rule. It's found in every religion in the world. Treat others as you want to be treated. Jeshua didn't create exclusion. He included outcasts, the lepers, the prostitutes, the tax collectors, all the people that everyone told you she shouldn't hang out with. But he never said anything about homosexuality or gender roles or hierarchy, only love, service, and inner truth. It's the church that brings those things out of their own fear of misinterpretation of what Paul said. The book of John literally says, by this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Love one another. It doesn't say if you love one another if you're Catholic, or if you love one another only if you have a heterosexual relationship. I know I'm going to get accused of being gay again, but I'm a heterosexual man who's been married 3 times, and you're going to love the fact that I've been divorced too. Yeah. The reason I'm a divorce is because of the fact that we came together and it didn't work. That's okay. It's allowed to be okay. I'm not in a marriage to create babies to have original sin, to have more Christians or Catholics. That's not why I'm married. I'm married because I love someone. When it stopped working, we went on our way. Marriage is a religious construct forced upon people by churches. You don't have to be married to please God. You don't have to be married to live into the idea that I'm living a loving life surrounded by people I love who love me in return. Restrictions on the blessings of love, it is just a subjugation to rules. The concept of, you're not allowed to be blessed because you love someone who's of the same sex. Never said by Jesus. The modern church and the new pope are much stronger aligned to nationalism and conservative movements. They're taking punitive actions against priests and nuns that talk about the ideas of love and compassion and doing good works. And the other thing is that 70% of the world aren't Christian, and these decisions alienate 70% of the global population. And they don't fit the church's definitions. I recently had a woman on my last week's video come on and literally say 70% of the world is uneducated. Well, what a superior, asinine statement to say, because you don't believe as I do, you are not educated. My response to her says, you're obviously Catholic, because your superior attitude literally says that if you don't think the way I do, you're less than me. You're undereducated. You don't have the information that I have, which makes me more powerful than you. It's not anything Jesus would have said or done. He talked to the pagans. He talked to the lepers. It wasn't about religion. It was about love and compassion. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com. These new moves by the Catholic Church reject diversity and reject global unity. They literally, I don't like the concept of borders, because I think we're all humanity and all one with God, and borders divide and love unites. Let's grab the world and look at the people out of love and compassion like Jesus did. And let's give them an embrace and bring them into our experience. When religions start arguing, you have to believe the way I do, or, if you're not having a good time over there, come check out my faith. You're just dragging them into another doctrine or a dogma. When Jesus said, think not upon tomorrow, be here today and love one another. Basically, look at what that says. Be present and love. That is the tenet of Jesus' teachings. the concept of these rules, doctrines, dogmas, all these Pauline teachings being what we have to follow is, to me, damaging the world more than anything. The early followers of Jesus were about community, shared meals, and not fear-based control or institutions. The institutional church today seems more interested in doctrinal purity than divine love. It talks about making sure the doctrines that they have chosen to believe are true, and it's a choice. That is the only way. And if you don't fall into line with our rules and regulations, you're a heretic. I can't tell you how many times in the past week I've been called a heretic and a blasphemer. Now, these words are medieval words. In other words, the churches and the people following those doctrines are stuck in the Middle Ages, not understanding that love is bigger and broader, not understanding that God is too big and too beautiful to be found in any one religion. He's found everywhere. But the mind of man comes in and gives them these fear-based ideologies to follow to get to love. You don't get to love, you are love. Be love. Stop judging others by the way they live their life and just love people. This concept of these doctrines and dogmas, this is an us versus them sort of situation. We're saved, you're lost, you're undereducated. It is superiority at its finest. It's narcissism at its finest. We know more than you, so we are better than you, and you have to, you're going to burn in hell. I've been told that a lot this week too. You're going to burn in hell, and that in itself is a ridiculous statement because hell is a uniquely Christian construct. So in other words, they're telling me that I'm going to burn in something they invented. I'm living a joyful life. They're just reaching out to be angry because I don't believe the same as they. And they're literally trying to censor my belief system. And that they yell and holler about, they're squashing my religious rights. Well, Catholics who gave me the crap this past week, you're trying to squash my religious rights. You're trying to say that I can't believe differently than you and that I'm an idiot if I don't. So who's the one who's loving and who's the one who's not? To me, you're welcome to your religion. You're not welcome to subjugate anybody else to it. You're not welcome to judge others because they don't believe the same as you are. Remember this, 30% of the world are Christians, 20% of those are Catholic, 20% of those are Catholic. Less than half of that 20% of that 30% are practicing Catholics. If you're coming on here and yelling and hollering and calling me a blasphemer, and you're not going to church every Sunday and you're an Easter Christmas Catholic, guess what? You're not a Catholic either because it's a mortal sin not to go to church. So these ideas that people are going to judge are not because of the religion. It's because it's what they've chosen to feel safe in. And if they're wrong, they're going to burn in hell, the hell that's been created by the religion. The irony of all this is it's supposed to be based in the teachings of Jesus, who taught love and compassion and showed it clearly. He said, the kingdom of heaven is within you, not within a church or a doctrine or a dogma. He said, it's all with one. And the Father and I are one, and you must become one with me as I am with the Father. In other words, we're all one. Jesus taught unification and oneness, and the church only chooses division and hate for anyone who doesn't believe in their doctrines and dogmas, which are created by man. God is love, and the doctrines and dogmas are not love. They're rules, they're laws. And what it means to truly follow the way, that's what it was called the way. The way is not a dogma, it's a path of love. It's the ability to love one another no matter who's in front of you. It's the ability to see someone who's struggling and give them compassion, to see someone who's hungry and give them to rip your cloak in half and give them half of it. That is what the way is. Present moment love. This concept of you can't do this and you can't do that, that's just fear-based stuff. And that fear-based stuff only creates division. And these people who've been screaming and yelling and hollering and calling me a blasphemer and that I'm going to hell, I feel sorry for you. I truly do, because you're choosing to follow the fear-based dogmas of man rather than love. And God is love. You're truly following a religion and not God. True spirituality isn't about exclusion. It's about personal responsibility, present moment awareness, and oneness with God. And God is love. You don't need a church to walk in love. You just need to make a choice. to be loving. There's a lot of people waking up and realizing that you are the temple, you are the light, and you are loved. Guess what? Jesus said you're the light of the world. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you. And Jesus repeatedly said that you're loved as you are. And his actions proved it. Pagans, lepers, he loved them as they were. Living your life in loving response, not reaction, is important because you can be an action hero or a reaction zero. But everything that happened this past week is everyone calling me these horrible names. I love you. I totally do. I feel for you. I'm sorry. I'm not going to subjugate you to my belief because I don't think it's necessary. Spirituality is truly a personal journey, and you've chosen to make your journey the only one that works for everybody, and you're wrong. There are more people in the world who don't believe what you do and are living just beautiful lives. I'm one of them. Stop trying to force others to believe the religion that makes you so hateful and vitriolic. Start just choosing to love the people. Look at the person in front of you with compassion and love, like Jesus did. Over the past 20 years, the Catholic Church has lost 54% of its congregations. The number one answer when asked, what did you find when you left? Was freedom. Freedom from the doctrines, the dogmas, the fear-based ideologies of burning in hell. And most of them found more joyful lives and more loving lives. And my mother had her master's degree in liturgy. People accused me of not being Catholic or not truly being of the faith. I went to 12 years of CCD. I was an altar boy. I was a reader. I probably have done more in the Catholic Church than most of the people who watch my channel. And I will tell you this, we were devout. We were devout Catholics. But I see people every day who are coming to me out of the trauma of being Catholic, out of the fear-based ideologies of being Catholic, and they're still overcoming them. They're still overcoming them, and you can. Put a period at the end of that Catholic Bible, and on this blank page in front of you, write love. Write the actions of love. Be the actions of love. Write your direct connection with God, like Jesus said. Despite what the hierarchies are trying to push upon you and the subjugations that they're trying to force you into, lean into the idea that right here, right now, I am being love. I am one with God, and the kingdom of heaven within me, and I can bring the kingdom of heaven to earth through loving actions. For those of us who are there, understand the people who are yelling, I'm not mad at you. I'm not. I feel sorry for you because you can't feel good saying those things. You can't feel the love of God when you say those things because you can't. Because you're angry, you're mad, you're frustrated, you're telling someone they're an idiot or a blasphemer or a heretic. You're going to burn in hell. You're judging when the Bible says, "Judge not, lest ye shall be judged." For those of us who aren't in that space, understand that's their fear, not your love. Understand that your love can only be affected if you choose to let it be affected. That the way you connect to God can only be affected if you choose to let it be affected. Let's hold space for those and just always show them love no matter what they say, no matter what name they call you, no matter how they treat you. And on my channel, if they're coming at me that way, I'm just going to delete them from the channel, and they're never going to be able to put anything on my channel again. Because they're just spreading fear, anxiety, and stress. That also, if someone's here to try to subjugate somebody into a new religion, I'm going to hide them from the channel too. You don't need a religion to find God. You don't need a religion to be loving. You don't need a religion to express love to others. The religions muddy the waters, and the simplicity is love. Speak truth in love, and no matter what they say, understand that's their fear, not your love. Let those of us who have left religion behind not become what we criticize. Let us be love always. Let us show the world that you can be love without religion, that you can be compassion without religion, that you can be the way, the truth, and the life that Jeshua talked about. And I love you all, no matter how much you hate me. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.